Thinking about upgrading your home? Hello, I'm Philip Pantana. Whether you want a modern kitchen, a stunning bathroom, a sturdy deck, or even a brand new addition, our company, Perimeter Remodeling and Restoration, can make it happen. From quick interior repairs to full-scale renovations, homeowners trust us for expert craftsmanship and excellent service, always delivered with the care you deserve. Schedule your free consultation now at perimeterva.com. Call or text 434-515-2868.
This is Talk Local to Me from the Central Virginia Business Coalition. Streaming live each week on Media Squatch Plus and available on demand in the app or wherever you get your podcasts. Local stories, local business, local impact.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Talk Local to Me. I'm Heather Alto with the Central Virginia Business Coalition.
And I'm Mike Norfield with Visiting Angels of Lynchburg, America's Choice in Home Care.
So Mike reminded me that last week I didn't introduce myself. So this week,
you came back with kind of a snarky response to that, too.
I'll say my snarky response. If you've been listening to Talk Local to Me this long and you don't know who I am,
right?
Then you have
so welcome new listeners.
Welcome new listeners.
So if last week was your first time listening, Heather Alto and Mike Norfield are the hosts. So
we're glad to have you here. We're glad to have you tuning in.
Yeah.
So make sure though, if you are new, make sure you like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you are getting that notification each week that Talk Local to Me is live, because we're here every Wednesday from noon to 1 on Media Squatch Plus or wherever you get your local podcast. So make sure you like that.
Fun times.
That's good. So real quick update on things we have going on. I know y'all hear this all the time, but we're really excited. Thanksgiving is next week. Have you got your turkey?
It's still in the trunk.
Stop it. Anyway, well, I'm just saying, the holidays are coming up. Stuff is getting a little stressful. Hopefully you listened to our last episode and learned a little bit on how to reduce some holiday stress. But we have some things going on with the Central Virginia Business Coalition coming up this week. So our Shopper on the Shelf, which is starting, is Small Business Saturday, November the 29th. You're going to want to check out our Facebook page, Central Virginia Business Coalition. Get a list of all of the businesses that are participating with Shopper on the Shelf, and we have about 26 businesses that you can go out on Small Business Saturday, support local guys, and shop. And you're going to find elves throughout their business, and each elf has an individual little elf name. So we have Jingle, and we have Mingle, and we have Peppermint, and we have Snowflake, and we have all kinds of different elf names running amok in Central Virginia that you can find their names. And then once you find them, you're going to scan the QR code, enter the elf's name with the business that you're at, and you'll get put in the running for, we have over $500 in prizes from all the local businesses that are participating. So everyone's donating.
Hard to believe that's just a week and a half away.
We have items. Yeah, we have so many things. So put it on your calendar. Go out. Have a fun date with your kids. Take them out. Take them shopping. Buy them things. No, I'm just kidding.
Or if you don't like your kids, take somebody else's kids.
Or take me. I like to shop. So we've got that going on. Shopper on the Shelf. Then we're also going to be going into Giving Tuesday, which is the Tuesday right after the small business. So it's like small business. It's Black Friday, Small Business Saturday,
Giving Tuesday.
Well, no, there's one. What is it on Monday? It's like oh shoot. It's where you go online and buy
Cyber Monday?
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Cyber Monday. And then there's Giving Tuesday. Well, Giving Tuesday is when you're out supporting local nonprofits in the community. The Central Virginia Business Coalition has something we're doing new this year because we want to help support local nonprofits. And we have some nonprofits that are members, but there are a lot of nonprofits in our area. Some people have never even heard of, and a lot of the times they can't market because they don't have the means to market. They're just getting started, or they don't know, kind of where to put their money because it's, they're trying to get donations and things like that. So for Giving Tuesday, we are putting out where businesses in our community can sponsor a nonprofit organization's Central Virginia Business Coalition membership, which then gives them the opportunity to use the free billboards, the podcast, all of the resources, the networking, the discounted magazine ads, all the things that they would get with a membership. So normally a nonprofit membership is $99. So for Giving Tuesday, we're letting for-profit businesses that want to sponsor a nonprofit do that for $75 for their year membership. And we already have businesses jumping on board and contacting us about doing this for some local nonprofits. So we're really excited about that. If you're listening in and you're interested, you can reach out to me, Heather at cvabc.org, and say, I would like to sponsor a nonprofit. You can send me the name of a nonprofit you would like to support. Or if you want us to give you a suggestion of some nonprofits that maybe we've come in contact with that aren't members that, may be interested, we can do that too. So we're really excited about that. I think it's a fun way to give some support back to local nonprofits where they're getting some marketing support and things like that too, which will help them grow their organization and stuff like that. So we're excited for that.
I like it.
And then of course, Christmas parades are coming up December 6th, December 7th. You're cutting it close to the deadline if you are listening in today and have not submitted it, because the deadline is November the 23rd, not a day after.
Right.
I'm trying to sound like, what is it, Bob Crush? Not a penny more. So not a day after. You get your holiday parade application in and be on time, because Heather is not pushing it back this year. I am being Scrooge.
I feel personally attacked.
I'm not attacking you. I haven't gotten yours yet, but I'm just saying I'm not attacking you. But so, yeah, get your applications in for that. The parades are going to be great this year. We have a lot of applicants already. We're really excited for it. It's always a fun time. I love watching all the families coming together on the side of the road, and all the kids and the joy that they get from seeing the floats and the people marching around and getting their Frito-Lay chips that are thrown from the Frito-Lay truck and all the fun things. So, and if you aren't going to be in the parade, but you just want to come out and participate, again, Bedford's parade is December the 6th at 11 a.m. and Lynchburg's parade is December the 7th at 4 p.m. So we hope that you're able to come out.
It's going to be a fun time.
With that, I'm really very tired and I don't have anything else going on. We will be done at the CVABC and taking a hiatus after the parades. I'll see you next year. But before that time, we have a trio here in our studio. And we're going to be talking about all things, insurance, wealth, even some nonprofits, some Christmas lights. I mean, they got it all here for us to chat about.
Yeah. And you've probably seen this Christmas display before. And if you haven't, you need to go, because it's pretty awesome. So, yeah.
It really is. When you're and you get a lot of people that are looking for places to take their kids, and this is definitely one that I feel kicks off the holiday season too. So we're going to chat about that in just a little bit. Yeah. But we're going to get started, and we are going to be talking with Logan Stam. How are you today?
I'm doing very well.
It's great to have you here. And so you're with Legacy Wealth.
Yep, that's right. Legacy Wealth. We started about 10 years ago. So I'm an advisor over there. My father, Joshua Stam, and his two business partners, Jake Dawson and Brandon Bosch, started the firm, again, about 10 years ago, when they decided to kind of leave the place where they were at and start to run the business kind of the way they wanted to. Mm-hmm. And so have a huge emphasis on, face-to-face meetings, really put an emphasis on client service. And, we're just seeing the industry move away from that service model so much. And we really just see the need and the desire for that service model to continue. So we're doing great over there. We serve about 1,000 families between wealth management and a bunch of other things. And we're doing great.
And it's been great because these days you see a lot more going to like digital platforms and things. And like, you don't really... like for especially like financial advisors and things, you see a lot of commercials and things like, oh, you can just do it online. You don't have to come and meet with somebody. Like if somebody's dealing with my money, I want to meet with them in person. Yeah. Right. And if something's not going right, I want to be able to go be like, hey, what's going on? Like, did I tell you to do something wrong, or did something happen there? Like, or is the market just terrible right now, or like what? So it's nice to have that reassurance and be able to sit face to face with somebody.
Yeah, and there's a level of accountability when you're face to face with somebody. We like to say we have a baseball bat address. Something goes wrong, you know where to go.
Right.
Well, I have personally loved, because the Central Virginia Business Coalition has worked with you guys for many years now, and seeing the growth in Legacy and the things that you guys have continued to build upon year after year in the community has been, nothing short of amazing. Just watching you guys doing that. And I know, one of the things that we push with the Central Virginia Business Coalition is supporting local, supporting area small businesses. And I know that is something that Legacy does very well. So what do you guys offer to the community and area small businesses?
Yeah, so we try to be involved. We try to be at some of the networking events for sure. But we also have a huge focus on the small business space. I, in particular, am doing my best to kind of specialize in the retirement plan or company retirement plan space for obviously local businesses. Ideally, we're seeing a serious need there, particularly in the 5 million and below space. That's for the entire company plan. A lot of these larger firms just don't want to deal with the minutia that goes into that. But there are serious advantages for small business owners for starting a retirement account for themselves, for their employees. All kinds of good stuff that goes along with that, and really just set people up for success in ways maybe they're just not even aware of.
I think that's important because I do think a lot of small business owners have the mindset that because they're small, they can't offer those opportunities to their employees or even to them, themselves and be able to start those retirement plans of, 401k, all of that. And I think it's great to have somebody that can walk beside them and be like, just because you're small doesn't mean you can't do this. Like, it doesn't mean you're not mighty. Doesn't mean you can't do big things.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't be as important as the big guys because you can.
Yeah, and there's also just a desert of financial literacy out there. When a quarter of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, we really are just seeing a need, particularly in working class Americans, and we're just excited to be able to serve that community. In addition to, we like doing wealth strategy for anybody at any level. So,
well, that's one of the things I say a lot is you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So, but you also don't want to know things that you just Google or that AI tells you or Chat GPT. You want to personally go in and get the information straight from you guys who are educated in the field and know the ins and outs and things like that. So I made a flyer my director made a flyer with Chat GPT and
it had the wrong date. Yeah.
And we were like, oh, this is the best flyer ever. And it was like, it's not the right date. If you can't even get that right. Okay, great. So yeah. So what is like your personal experience with financial literacy and how does that impact your passion for helping others?
Oh man, we're going to get personal with it.
Yeah.
So
dive deep here.
I've been an investment advisor for a little over a year, actually. I've been part of Legacy for about 20 months. Previous to that, I worked in the trades. I was an electrician by trade. I did that for 12 years. Started my career at Liberty University and then worked for a small construction company, et cetera. And so, I have been in that situation. I have lived the paycheck to paycheck. And, I got to give credit to my beautiful wife because she was the one who kind of got our house on track with even pursuing that and getting us on a budget and those kinds of things. And it's amazing how many folks, even moving into their retirement, just don't even have a household budget. Really, the most basic financial planning tool we can use. And so, encouraging people along every step of the way, from the most basic things of how you build a household budget and live to it, for retirement and estate planning down the road. I'm very fortunate because I have kind of turned that corner in my own financial journey and stepping out and growing in that way. But it's difficult, and I think that part of that process is acknowledging that discipline is always difficult, and financial discipline is a very personal thing, sometimes even more so than our diet or exercise discipline, because we assign so much value to our monetary worth. And so that's really where my heart is at, is just trying to help people understand, number one, that dollar value does not equate to who they are as a person, but also understanding that there are steps, even small decisions along the way, that we have to make in order to set ourselves up for financial success, and just kind of knowing what some of those steps are and being able to point, here's an area we can work on. That's something I just love. And
yeah, I like it.
I think that's amazing because, again, I think a lot of times people sometimes will dig themselves into a hole and think, well, there's nothing I can do to get out of it, or how is that going to happen? And they try and do it themselves, and they still, sometimes it just, you're trying to dig out, but you're digging deeper and you just don't know. And so having someone they can come to and get that information from, I don't think people realize there's resources like that out there.
There are. And it's super
really
easy
cool
to make a budget. Super easy. It's really hard to make a budget that you can actually make work. right? So that's the secret. I can't tell you how many times I've made a budget and like for work or for home or something. And it's like, well, that's not reality at all. Like, according to this budget, we spend $3 a month on food. That's not real. Right. So,
yeah,
it's definitely good to have a resource for things like that and be able to, not just plan for now, but to plan for the future as well. Because the amount of people that we see that have either planned really well for retirement and use our services and things like that, and then the people that call us and they're like, well, we don't have anything, right? And it's like, I never thought I would get to be this age, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, that's a couple years from now that I have to worry about that problem. But the sooner you start planning and the sooner you start kind of preparing for those later years, the better off you're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry you're at that age already.
Yeah. I hear you.
No, I'm just playing. But yeah, no, it is a great resource to have. So with Legacy is not just the wealth portion of it. You'll also have the insurance side. So you have the personal lines and you have business lines. So we have OH Bobbitt here with us, and we also have Corey. Watch, I'm gonna say it wrong. Leisner, right? Okay, Leisner. I did it. Look, Corey, I'm good. Corey Leisner here, and I'm gonna start with OH. We're gonna chat about the business lines of insurance. So what is commercial / business insurance?
Yeah. So when you look at commercial or business insurance, as most people will call it, basically it's that insurance that's going to protect your business from financial devastation, from things like accidents, lawsuits, natural disasters, that type of thing.
Okay.
There are obviously other items that are in there, but they're some of the big ones. Also, business insurance can be a legal requirement in many cases.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I had somebody mention to me yesterday, this is the first time I had ever heard of this, about the fact that like if you, and I meant to ask them this question and I didn't, but they were talking about like one of the things like with business insurance, especially with service providers. So I'm trying to think of like, they were talking about how there was a house washing person that he went to a home and then the house didn't have any water and he had to run back, and he had the guy who lived there was like, well, I'll run up the street and get something for you and come back. So like he left, but he was acting on the part of the business because he was going to get something for the business. And that when he left, even though it was his personal vehicle and whatever, they were trying to say like if he should get in an accident, normally like somebody's going to just worry because it follows the car. Right. Just if I'm wrong, you just say, Heather, stop talking. But it follows the car. So anyway, but they were saying that crazily enough, some people actually could sue the business because he was acting and doing something on behalf of the business. And that's why it's important to have the business insurance that covers you, like that, right? Or something. So that made me think about like, just like my own vehicle, because I drive that personally for business all day long. Is that the same type of concept?
Yeah. So potentially, yeah, you could want some commercial auto coverage on
Just
that.
saying.
Or at least have your personal auto insurance endorsed as for business purposes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've gotten, Heather, I tell my customers this, unfortunately, we've gotten into a sue happy world.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, somebody can look at you cross-eyed and, off to the courthouse they go and pay their $35, whatever it is, and they can sue you. So, yeah. So you definitely want some at least some minimal liability coverage if you're in business.
I think it's just crazy, like the things you don't think about. And then, like you said, then somebody's just like, oh, I'm just going to sue you for this. And then they get away with it because like you didn't even like, so it's very important to have coverage if you're a business owner. Your personal is not going to cover that, if I'm correct. And if you're out there just thinking, oh, well, that's one less expense I don't have to worry about is business insurance, you are wrong because they're going to,
Absolutely.
It potentially could be something that they're definitely going to need. So, so I guess that kind of like what type of business needs insurance? Any type of business.
Yeah. And so it doesn't matter. And most of the time, obviously, large companies, they've got the insurance piece down. They know that they need, whether it's covering their equipment, their people, whatever. But when you look at your small businesses, they're the ones that really need it. Even down to, like vendors at a craft event or at a farmer's market. They're in business. Whether they've incorporated or have an LLC or they're just a proprietor.
Yeah.
And so, so they can be sued. And so you definitely want that coverage to be there.
And And I think that's definitely why, like, they make sure we have our certificate of insurance for covering all the festivals and the things that we do. So that keeps us safe, you know, when it comes to events. And we make sure, like, with the upcoming parades, we do ask that all of our parade applicants have, they have to send us, you know, driver's license, a copy of their insurance or like their CDL, all that sort of stuff if they're driving the bigger tractor trailers, because we want to make sure all of our T's are crossed and I's are dotted
Absolutely.
as
Right.
well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like, so being in home care, like our regulations, like we have to have a minimum of insurance, all that. And Visiting Angels actually requires us to have above the minimum, things like that. But it's people are always like, you know, oh, well, why would I use an agency? I can just hire my neighbor to do this. And it's like, yeah, well, if your neighbor falls and gets hurt or your loved one falls and gets hurt, there's no insurance either way to protect either one of you. And people don't realize how expensive that insurance can be.
Exactly.
Right. So, I mean, I could hire another person from my office if I didn't have to have insurance. So, you know, it's quite costly. So but it's one of those things that, like, it's a whole lot less expensive to have it and not need it than it is to not have it and need it.
Right. That's what I was going to say. So it's a lot cheaper to pay, you know, whatever the amount is, a minuscule amount for that insurance on an annual basis,
Right.
rather than having to cover a $500,000 or $1 million lawsuit or medical claims from someone falling, getting hurt, being out of work. Maybe you've got to cover their lost wages. The insurance premium is well worth it for that.
Are there different types of business insurance?
Yeah. So absolutely. I could go on and talk forever about the different types of business insurances, but just kind of give you some basics. Obviously, I think the most basic is your general liability policy, and that's the one that most people are most familiar with. It typically will come in $1 million increments, and people say, "Oh, wow, $1 million in today's economy, $1 million is nothing, especially if there was something that happened and let's say that someone got killed, and we don't want to think about those things, so you definitely want to have that general liability. We can also have a business owner's policy, or we lovingly refer to it as a BOP, and this is something that many of our carriers have kind of wrapped up several different types of business insurance into a nice package, so that you're not having to buy individual types. Another one that most people are familiar with is your workers' comp. In the state of Virginia, if you have 2 or more employees, then you're required to carry workers' comp. And those employees are not just W-2 employees. When the state of Virginia looks at it, they're looking at volunteers, they're looking at
Even family.
1099. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you've got that workers' comp. Remember, workers' comp is covering the employees, not the employer. And it's from accidents or what have you that may happen on the job. So another good one. One that's become very popular really within just the last couple of years is cyber liability. It is a separate type of coverage.
I have not heard of that.
And so with with everyone being on the internet and what have you, people are getting sued for their information being stolen.
Right.
Also, there are certain laws that require, if your system is hacked and people get some of that private information, whether it's names, addresses, social security numbers, credit card numbers, whatever it is, there are certain notifications that you're now required to do. Your cyber liability will help cover the cost that are right there. We're also, you'd mentioned earlier, a commercial auto. Definitely want to make sure that if you've got an automobile that you're using in your business, especially if you're using it solely for your business, all these automobiles out here with wraps on them and everything else, you want to make sure that you're carrying commercial auto. One of the things we found, and kind of alluded to this earlier, is that if people find out, if attorneys find out you own a business, they think that every business is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So if there's an automobile accident and it's a commercial auto involved, they're going to be looking for big coverages. So
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you've got those coverages,
Yep.
which are a lot of times much greater than your personal auto coverages. The other that I'll mention, and you mentioned this, is event insurance. So if you are sponsoring, if your company is sponsoring a special event, many times that will not be covered under your general liability policy. So you can purchase an event policy that will cover just that event, sort of like your parades.
Right.
So event insurance is out there also.
Yeah. We have to have a separate one for every event that we have.
Yep.
So it's, yeah.
Yeah, and they're not super expensive, but I will tell you, I've had a couple of times with some nonprofits that I participate with that have had to get business or event coverage, and they've had to use it. They've had to access it. So yeah.
So moving into like the personal lines, what is the biggest difference? Personal insurance. We just talked about business insurance. What is personal insurance?
Yeah. So first off, I have to say congratulations on getting the last name right.
Yeah.
You know, the first time this was off air, you had mentioned it,
I
and
did.
it was right, and that's not the usual case for me.
Awesome.
So Corey
Look at
Leister,
me.
you got
Gold
it.
star for
There you
Heather
go.
Alto.
Gold star, first one of the year. So
Perfect.
yeah, back to your question, the biggest thing, commercial or business insurance, you know, as the name implies, is going to take care of everything that has to do with, you know, the business that you are running day in and day out, whereas the personal insurance is going to be everything for your personal life. So this is going to be your, you know, automobile that's not being utilized for business purposes. This is going to be your home or your renters or your umbrella. If you have rental properties, so on and so forth. So again, everything that has to deal essentially with your personal life, that's exactly where your personal insurance will come in.
So, you know, we heard OH talk about why it's important to have business insurance. Why is it important? I can't speak now. See, I get a gold star now. I can't talk.
Right.
Why is it important to have personal insurance?
Yeah. So insurance exists in order to repair any amount of damages, in order to make you whole. So the need for personal insurance is to make sure that, hey, should you have some sort of an auto accident, you can get repairs made to your vehicle. If there's a, you know, partial house fire, you're able to make repairs to the home, details like that. So really just making sure that whatever you need in order to function in your daily life, according to, you know, whatever particular standard you have set up for yourself, that's exactly where personal insurance will come into play.
I feel like there's an overwhelming amount of people who do not have personal insurance, specifically vehicle insurance. You know, nowadays, my husband actually was in an accident a couple months ago, and the guy that hit him, no insurance.
Yep.
And, you know, of course, my husband was like, that would be my luck, you know, but do they still have where if you don't have insurance, you have a fine through the DMV for that? I know they used to, or you could pay to not have to have it or
Correct.
something.
Yeah,
Do
that's
they
exactly
still?
it. Yeah, so
Okay.
you either, you know, you pay for the insurance, you got it, you're good to go, or if you decide, you know, you're going to keep a vehicle registered, but you're not going to insure it, yeah, you can pay the DMV a fee,
Okay.
and then you can perfectly have the vehicle registered without being insured. Otherwise, worst thing you can do is have a vehicle registered,
Okay.
not insure it. DMV does not like that.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know why I thought I had heard something at one point where the DMV was trying to get rid of that to encourage people to actually have to get insurance.
Sure.
But I, you know, there's a lot of rebels out there. I feel like they're just not doing what they're supposed to. I know like in the past couple of years, like insurance, like it's been fluctuating a lot. I had to listen to my dad last night. I feel like I listen to him every couple of weeks talk about his bills and how much he pays, and he whines about, he's like, you know, did you know my insurance went up from $80 to $118. And I was like, dude, do you know what my insurance is right now? Like, cry me a river. Like, that's good. But for him, it's like crazy. So I'm going to call and yell at my insurance agent. I'm like, please do not call and yell at your insurance agent. Because for one, they have nothing to really do with it. Like, they can't, you know?
Yeah.
So like, do you encourage people to shop their insurance or like look for stuff or like be able to sit down and talk with you and see like what they have versus what they need, or do they have the right coverages? Because I know a lot of times people don't have, they have like too low of a coverage and they don't even realize it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So unfortunately, a majority of people are found underinsured.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, each state, you know, it could be different from state to state, but there are different legal minimum requirements that you have to have, which those legal minimum requirements are if anyone is being honest, simply not enough. So yeah, we love being able to, just like you had said, sit down across from the table with somebody and say, hey, this is what you have based off of, X, Y, or Z of what's going on in your life. It's probably advisable that you look at increasing this. And then similarly, because, we're an independent agency, there's not one particular carrier that we work with. It's not like we only have this one and this is the only one that we can do business with. Because there's a wide swath of options for us each year or each 6 months, depending upon the renewal, we've got the ability that we can take the policy information, run it with each of these different carriers and say, hey, where you're at is actually the most sufficient spot that you can be in terms of what you're paying and what you're receiving in coverage. Or we can say, hey, it looks like, this particular carrier maybe took a decrease in rate. So based off of that, we can maintain the coverage that you have at a cheaper premium. And that's one of the things that I think we really like to highlight and be able to say, hey, this kind of sets us apart a little bit from some others. So that way we can always be looking out for what's best for you as the insured.
Awesome. So what is the benefit and personal and business, maybe you can both hop in, but what is the benefit of being insured with Legacy?
Yeah, so I guess I'll, just to reiterate that continual ability to be able to shop your insurance on a regular basis to make sure that you're continually receiving the best possible premiums. Just because, again, especially over the past few years, like you mentioned, the market has been extremely, extremely difficult. Anytime you would see, oh, there's actually a decrease in premium, it was like, that's a reason for us to celebrate because that was just not the norm. Right. But now we're kind of getting to a little bit more of a softer market in the insurance industry to the point where it's like, hey, Mr. Johnson, you're actually seeing like $250 off your renewal premium. And that's like unheard of over the past few years. Obviously, pending you don't make some crazy changes like you removed a vehicle or something like that. So, but yeah, that's one of the biggest things, again, that we really pride ourselves on is being able to say, hey, we're always in your corner. The best of, what we can do for you is what we want to do. And we don't have a problem saying, hey, the premium that you have with, whatever carrier that you're currently with is better than what we're currently able to offer. It's not one of those, let me try and force my way in and say, hey, what can we do in order to bring you on board over here?
Yeah.
It's really what you have is best, stay there. But it's always a win-win situation because you find out, either we could find you something cheaper, let's move forward with it, or you find out you already have a fantastic option. So.
And that's really refreshing to hear.
It is.
As somebody that I deal with a lot of businesses and, I feel like people are constantly trying to sell me something, even when like I'm talking to them just about their membership and stuff. I had somebody I talked to, I don't know, it was a while ago, but she wanted to talk to me about membership. And then basically the whole thing was like a sales pitch to me. And I was like, okay, like, let's not do that. But it's nice to hear though, like when you're talking to somebody that you want people to look out for your best interest and nobody wants to feel like, they're being pressured or anything. And so I think that's really cool to hear that, you're like, if somebody's getting a better rate somewhere else, we'll, basically let them know and not feel like there's any pressure.
Well, and see, part of that goes back to what Logan was mentioning earlier about that service aspect, that it seems like obviously a lot of people want that still. Like nobody wants to have bad service, but you can't always find great service wherever you're going. Right. So, even if it's one of those things where it's like, hey, there's not a better option for you now, just somebody telling you that and being completely honest with you about it is something that really does set you apart. And that's just the breath of fresh air that I think we're all looking for nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just that honesty and openness and, hey, here's, I have a friend that likes to say, put all the skunks on the table. So I'm sure you guys know who that is. So, but I always tell our clients, like, yeah, to put all the skunks on the table, like, this is what it is. This is what it costs. And we can't really do any better than that. And, sometimes knowing that, it's like, that's a much better feeling than just being kind of sold something that's polished and like, oh no, this is great. That's right.
I have never heard that term before in my life.
I've never used that before for you.
No.
So
it's a new one for me.
Yeah.
We also, we like to pride ourselves in letting folks know that we're an independent agency, which means that we have 15, 18 different carriers that we can look across. And I know it's important on the personal side, but even more important on the business and commercial side, coming from the captive world or the single carrier agency. It was either, yes, I can insure your business, or no, it doesn't fit in our criteria. Now having these 15 plus carriers, I've had to say no very few times now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can go out and there's one of our carriers that has an appetite for that type of business. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, speaking of the service that Legacy provides, talking about community, things like that, let's touch on the Christmas lights, but also you guys have a fundraiser y'all are doing right now. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes. Do you want me to hit Bark first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Legacy Insurance has partnered with Bark, which is a nonprofit in Campbell County.
Okay.
That was formed several years ago. Jeannie Isaacs, who passed away this year, along with Katie Lane and some other folks, saw the need for a new animal shelter in Campbell County. They've got a little cinder block building that may hold the five of us in there. So they saw the need for that, and they started raising money, working with Campbell County, and they're nearing their goal. So we've partnered with them. And so for every call that we get that asks for a quote that mentions Bark, we're going to make a donation to Bark. And originally that was supposed to go through November 15th. But we are going to extend it through the end of the year.
Oh, yay.
So we can get your quote in.
I'm excited. You're going to say, darn it, I'm going to be out of town next week, but I am going to be calling Corey.
Please.
So we would love, whether it's a business commercial quote or a personal lines quote, we want to be able to help Bark. And we've lovingly said, if you've seen any of our promos, give us a Bark and let us give you a quote
I like it.
to help Bark. So, yeah.
That's really cool. I love it. I I love that you guys are giving back as well. Like we said, at the beginning of the show, we were talking about the local nonprofits, and it's great to see. And then y'all also have the Legacy Lights coming up for the holidays.
Oh, yeah. So growing up, our family tradition was always we'd load into the car, we'd do a big lap of Lynchburg City, of Bedford in particular, and look at all the Christmas lights, get our hot chocolate and do that whole thing. So when my sister and I grew up and moved out of the house, I was kind of wondering what was going to happen. A couple of years later, when I was visiting for Christmas, my dad said, hey, you got to come check out this light display we do at work. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I expected a couple little figurines, whatever. There's 1 million lights set up at 1971 English Tavern Road. And starting next week, if you were to drive through there, you're going to start seeing them. We've already got some of our snowflakes up, but we're going to begin illumination, I believe, on the 1st of December. But we're going to have a bunch of our team out there next week. So if you're passing by, wave at us. We're hoping the weather's not going to be too cold. But like I said, it's 1 million lights, and it's all kind of culminates on December the 4th when we have our big open event there for the community. We use it as a fundraiser for the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank as well, which is just so cool. So, we're encouraging folks to bring a donation for them. In particular, they're asking for canned soups, canned fruits, and canned meats. I guess those are the things that they're a little bit lacking in. Please come by, bring a donation, come check out the lights. It's quite a labor of love. I'll tell you that.
It's truly beautiful, and you can tell you've put a lot of hard work into it. I remember the first year we came out to it. I think it was maybe 3 years ago was the first one that I think we came out. I told my family, I was like, oh, we're going to go see, because I had seen y'all had started putting up. We held our community giving fair that year at Legacy in the auditorium area, and y'all were starting to put the snowflakes up on the building. So we had kind of seen what was happening, and they talked a little bit about it. And I was like, okay, we're going to go to this. And so I wasn't expecting, for one, I'm driving, I go up English Tavern Road. There's like this line of cars. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like they were all going there to see, like, you think Elk's Home, but it's like the same thing. And so we're like, okay, that's fine. We're going on. I wanted to like put my name in my head on, be like, hey, do you know who I am? Let me up the road. These guys know me. I need to get past y'all, but I didn't. But it was really cool because y'all had like hot chocolate. I think y'all had Mama Crockett's that year. Y'all had stuff going on, and it's just really. But the lights were my kids were amazed, and they got to see Santa, and it's truly beautiful.
Yeah, Sheena and I actually volunteered 2-3 years ago, and we're helping like hand out cookies and things like that, and it was like. So driving through it, you're like, wow, this is a lot of lights. All the thing to stand on the other side and stand there and watch people go by, like so many cars. It's overwhelming. Like it's great that like one business doing a display could have that many people that could come through and enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
For me, it brings back a lot of really special memories. I don't even know if Mike remembers this. Do you remember my house as a kid?
I do.
Okay.
Your dad used to hand out candy canes.
Yeah.
No.
So when I was a kid, if you ever went down to the Blue Ridge Farms area or familiar with that area of Lynchburg where Peaksview Park is, if you think about the home back in the 80s that lit up, and when I say lit up, Santa could have landed, like the airplanes could have landed on our house. That's how lit up.
You could see it pulling into the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm, we had cars backed up for miles, like from down towards Peaksview Park all the way up towards Old Forest Road, like of people that would come through. My dad dressed like Santa. We had like nursing homes that would come through with like the people to look at it. Yep. And, you know, it was just amazing. And like, I couldn't even get to my own house. Like if I went out with my friends, they'd have to drop me off like 2 streets up and I'd have to walk through to even get there. Cause they were like, we're not going through this mess.
That's what Sheena wants our house to look like now.
Yeah. But you know, back then it was like the Elks home was where you went for stuff like that. They didn't have as much going on. So like my parents can no longer do that anymore just due to health reasons, but going out and seeing that's something I remember from my childhood was just being able to, you know, give that joy to other people. And I love going out and seeing it. And y'all just do a fabulous job.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, we love doing it.
I don't miss putting it up, so I know y'all don't. It took weeks, and my parents would make us be out there with like in the cold with lights and up on ladders, and I hated it. But yeah,
you thought I was crazy with like 20 trees.
I'm just saying. But anyway,
they're all inside where it's warm.
And so, how long do the lights stay up for?
So it'll be up till the end of the year.
Okay.
Basically, yeah. January 1st, we'll shut them all down. There'll be a giant switch there. But no, they'll be there, open to the public to come on through and enjoy those. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us today. And hopefully, if you have been listening in and you've had any questions regarding whether it's, you know, the commercial or the personal insurance, the business insurance, or, you know, Legacy Wealth in itself, or how you can go and talk to somebody about your budgeting or your finances and things like that, you'll be able to contact any of these guys right here and they will be able to help you with that. I always think going into the new year, maybe it's time to look at, you know, what you're doing with your business or your personal lines and starting off fresh maybe in the new year. Maybe you need something a little new, need to tweak a few things. But yeah, reach out. Legacy has been a great supporter of the Central Virginia Business Coalition over the past couple of years. I mentioned, you know, we've hosted many events at their location. They have a beautiful space that they have blessed us with being able to utilize for some of our events, and we'll be back there next year as well. So I'm always grateful to you guys, and you know, really would love to have some people go out there and support. And I know Mike has his 2 questions. I wasn't going to forget.
I was just reminding you.
I'm over here like babbling, but it's okay.
Yeah,
I'm turning over to you. I'm gonna stop babbling. I'm drinking my water.
So there's 2 questions we ask every guest that comes on. So the first one is, how long have you been part of the Central Virginia Business Coalition?
At least, I'm trying to, because I know I want to say it's been at least 4 or 5 years, because we've been putting on Empower. We're going into our seventh year of Empower. The first year we were just doing it in our little office space. And then we've only had 1 year that it was not at Legacy after that. So it's got to be at least like 5 years.
Yeah. Okay.
That they've been.
And what do you think is the greatest benefit of being part of the CVABC?
Yeah, so I think probably the greatest thing is the networking, getting to know other businesses, especially our small businesses. To answer your question, I go back to the 1980s with the Retail Merchants Association in my former life.
Wow.
So that was just a few years ago. But yes, so just the networking, I think, is the biggest thing. Getting to know other businesses, knowing who to call, because clients will ask us questions that you would not typically ask people that were doing your insurance or your wealth management, like who can I get to do my roof, or who can I get to repair my car?
I've had several people refer to me from Legacy that who do I use for home care? Like, is this a thing?
And so great. We've got this built-in network of people. I think that's been
and people with baseball addresses, right? Yeah. So you know where they are,
that's
right? So you're not just referring to check out this, go to visitangels.com. It's, hey, call Mike. Yep. So it's a better connection, and I feel like it builds more trust, not just with who you're referring them to, but with you as well, right? Because when you refer to somebody and it's a good choice, like they're like, maybe I need to trust these guys more, right? So yeah,
Awesome.
I like it.
Well, tell us, guys, how can people get a hold of you? Whether it's for, advising or insurance, what are the best ways for those listening to reach out?
Yeah, for insurance, at least 434-266-1197. It's either going to be myself or OH that picks up. So if it's personal or business, we'll take care of you there. If nothing else, we'll at least point you in the right direction.
Okay.
Yeah, questions around retirement, investing, estate planning, all those kinds of things. Likewise, you can call our office and speak with me or any of our advisors there, 434-266-1214.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today, and kind of enlightening us on all of the different things. I've learned something. That's what I love about this show too. I learn things every time I'm here and every time I'm talking to people. And I think that's the big thing is education is key when you're talking with any business or you're trying to grow your own business. So thank you guys for coming in.
If I could just share one thought to close on, when we're talking about investing, best time to plant a tree is yesterday. The second best time is today.
I like it. I like it. And with that, thank you guys for listening in to Talk Local to Me, and have a happy Thanksgiving. And
is there a show the week of Thanksgiving?
No.
Okay. Just checking.
I hope not. I'm not going to be here.
Oh,
no, there is not a show the week of Thanksgiving, guys.
I'm going to break in and record my own.
No, there will not. Talk Local to Me will not be live the week of Thanksgiving, but we will probably have something playing for your enjoyment if you want to listen in while you're cooking that turkey. But have a happy Thanksgiving. We will be back in December. And if you need any more information regarding any of the events that we talked about today, or need some more information regarding our guest, you can always find that out at
cvabc.org. Have a great week.
Thank you.